Hi there, my name is Christine. I'm a demonstrator with Stampin' Up! And I want to show you a fun fold card. It's called an Easel card. And I was asked how to go about cutting it. So we're gonna start from scratch on this one, or almost from scratch. I've done a little bit of prep work. So my card base that I'm using is soft sea foam. So this is half of an 11 and an 11 by 8.5 sheet that I've cut at the half mark, so at 5.5. Which leaves me with 8.5 by 5.5. So the first thing we're going to do is score it at 4.25. I'm going to make sure to put my cutting blade out of the way. There we go. So this is the part where things get a bit different. So I am going to cut only essentially the front of the card at 1.25 on each side. So I'm lining it up on the bottom just because it's easier. And I'm placing my blade at the bottom, and I'm going to use my ruler. Actually, I don't need to count. I see my score line here. So I am taking this up right up to the score mark. There we go. So that's one. And then I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to do this one from the top, just so I'm using the 1.25 mark, sorry, from my right side. And I just find it easier to be able to see my score line here. So, and this one's also easier because I'm counting 4.25. I'm able to line those up. I'm sorry if my head's there. All right, so now we've got this going on. We're going to do a score line at the 2.5 mark, I believe. Yeah, 2.5 mark here. Now the thing with this score line, and I'm tucking my cutting blade way out of the way. So we're going to 2.5, and I'm going to do it from the bottom just so I have a better view of it. So you don't want to score your side pieces. You'll only want to score your centerpiece. So it doesn't really matter where I'm starting as long as I'm within that center only. And it doesn't have to be perfect the whole way across, just enough so that you have your score line there. So now we've got a score line. And I should add that you can play with these measurements depending on what your design is. For me, this is kind of, I wanted to have the most writing space possible. Which is why I'm keeping this piece fairly wide, but you can make your sides a little wider and have a narrower center, entirely up to you. So I'm going to put that aside for now, and I'm going to cut my designer series paper. Now you could use, instead of designer series paper, you could use, you could use regular cardstock, different colors. You can emboss some cardstock to have different textures. All right, so this is cut. I want it at 4 inches on the height. Then I want 1 inch for each of those small side pieces. And actually, I should make sure I'm not going to run out of space. Just bear with me for one moment. I want to make sure I need 2 3/4 for my centerpiece. I'm going to do that right now. Oh, I'm fine. Okay. I wanted to make sure I wasn't going to run out. So for my 2 side pieces, I've got 1 inch by 4. And then for my centerpiece, I want it to be 2 3/4. Which is going to leave me with this little guy left over. And I'm going to leave that at that. Okay, I think that's all my cutting. So I'm going to put this guy away and reserve the right to bring him back if need be. I think we're good. And then, I mean, in terms of decorating this, it's entirely, depending on what theme you're doing, what stamp set you're using, and all of that fun stuff. So the first step is to fold this in half. It's a little bit trickier just because you want to make sure that your pieces, especially your end pieces, line up nicely. I mean, hopefully don't have a gap. So I'm doing them in three different folds, but making sure that they're lining up nicely. And that should do it. Okay. So we're going to start with the inside. And that's where I'm using just regular weight white, which measures 4 by 3.5. So I'm just going to put glue on the back of that. And I am, whoa, that's a lot of glue. I'm going to center that down. And I want to leave like an equal gap at the top and bottom if possible. And it is supposed to be wider than your opening here because you're going to cover up your sides. So next I'm going to put glue on the back of those 1 1/4 pieces. And those come right across. I'm just lining up my side and my corners, make sure that's nice and straight. It looks very strange right now, I recognize that, but I promise it'll be really cool. Now we can put our side strips down. So I'm going fairly monochromatic with this one. Oop, sorry about that. All right, so I'm just kind of lining up the bottom. You should end up with about, if you're following these measurements, you'll end up with 1/8 all the way around each of your pieces. 1/8 of an inch, sorry. You can use, of course, any paper that you want to use. This is the amazing paper that was during Celebration, that free one. It was called Penguin Playmates, and I really love the prints in it. All right, so let's finish off this one. Now, I don't remember. Actually, I don't think you need to. Okay, so we're just going to stick this piece down. Sorry, a little side conversation with myself here. All right. So again, I'm just lining up the bottom parts so that it looks kind of like it goes across. All right, so now let's do our little decorative pieces. So I used the layering circles to cut out a piece of soft sea foam and the same tree motif. Now there's one tricky part coming up. So once I've got these two pieces together, so if I put glue on the back of all of this and put it down here, you remember that fold that we made? It's not going to fold, right? So you're not going to get that easel effect. So what we want to do now is we want to fold at that fold line. There we go. And now we're going to put our little centerpiece here. And I'm kind of eyeballing, I want glue only on the bottom part. I don't want glue here. Okay. So actually, before I do that, I'm just going to finish decorating this. I am using the Penguin Playmates, Penguin Place, sorry. What's it? Sorry, I'm going to put him on dimensionals. Sorry, the punch and the stamp set. Oh my gosh, the bundle. For this card. I've been playing quite a bit with it. It is currently not orderable. It looks like it should be back in stock the week of November 13th is what they're saying now. 15th, sorry, week of November 15th, which seems like ages away, I know, but I'm hoping that it'll be quicker than they say. That's all we can do, right? Unfortunately, it's down to some shipping issues. So I wanted to bring in a pop of color here, so I've done the little presents in red. And I'm putting this one further away because I want to bring the other one closer with a small dimensional. Sorry, just reaching for my scissors here. So this is actually a piece of dimensionals from a paper pumpkin kit, so it's a little bit of a different size, but just to show you that you can trim those down to whatever size you need and make the most of them. There we go. And now I just want to put glue kind of on the bottom half of this. So if your front piece is wider than your card, just remember to put glue only where it's going to be stuck down. And we need a sentiment, of course, for this. So that's where I've got the Stitch So Sweetly die cut label here. And I've already taken out the sentiment. We're going to use Season's Greetings and Real Red. This is an old style stamp pad. I know it looks different than the ones we have now, but it is still very much usable. So I'm going to keep using it. Since you can buy the re-inkers for our ink pads, they last a very long time. So with any of our clear stamps, which these are, they will stain with the reds and the pinks. It's totally normal. It's stained. It's just, it doesn't come back off. It's just stained. It's a sign of love. So now we need something to prop our easel up onto, right? So that's where this piece comes in, and some dimensionals. So if you could also just cut out a piece to be whatever size you want for that bottom easel part. So I just want to center that kind of on the bottom. And now we've got our little easel. So it would be flat for mailing, and then still lots of room to write, which is why I have the narrow side pieces. And then we've got our little Season's Greetings. So it's not a super complicated card. It's got a few steps to it, but it's really versatile and fun and a little bit different. So I hope you like it, and please, oh, you know what? Before I sign off, I'm gonna put a little bit of bling on this. I always forget my bling, and then I add it after my video. So I'm just using rhinestone basic jewels on this one because going with that monochromatic look. Yeah, so this is a really versatile little design. So I hope you'll try it. And if you do try it, I would love to see yours, the outcome. This is my take your pick tool, and I don't like things to be super lined up, so I'm just gonna move that down. There we go. It just allows me to grab the small bits and put them down. All right, so now here's our finished product. So please let me know if you have any questions, and let me know what you think. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks.